Is live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's 6 a.m. here in the Maasai Mara, and our lion pride is 300 yards away from a herd of wildebeest. This is Safari.
Wildebeest are coming across this river. This is why we came to this area, to tell the story of the migration.
Buffalo bull charging straight at the hyenas. Now the whole herd's coming.
Look at the crocodile coming after them. If you ever had any doubt as to who the real royalty of the wilderness is, well, now you've had that cleared up for you. Here's a lion. There's a lion right next to us. Oh my goodness. That one's down. That is unbelievable. Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. Let's hope the wildebeest are holding on to those wise words from Victor Hugo. Good morning and welcome back to Africa for the fourth rip-snorting romp through the grasslands and savannas of southwest Kenya. We're coming to you live from Maasai Mara, the stage on which nature's greatest drama is halfway to its spectacular climax. My name is James Hendry. This is the Migration Control, and it gives you and me a perfect vulture's eye view of the stories unfolding on the Mara floor. Down in the depths of the African pre-dawn, it is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Jamie, Brent and Scott have been out following the cats all night long. Now, of course, you are as live as the plethora of wildlife you're about to see. What does that mean? Well, it means that we want you to come on the adventure with us. And you do that using the hashtag SafariLive. You can send us your questions or your comments. And the first thing I'd like to know from you is how you think it feels to be a gnu in the migration down there in the dark. Terrifying is how I think it must feel. Some of you might be wondering where on the third rock from the sun we find ourselves. Well, I'll show you. We're on a tectonically active part of East Africa, slowly sloughing off into the Indian Ocean, and lots of volcanic activity has made this area incredibly fertile and therefore a haven for abundant wildlife. Now, you've just met these terrors of the grasslands with Jamie. She's been filming them in infrared so as not to disturb their behavior all night long. Let's take a look at what they got up to. Another new week and another new pride. This is the sausage tree pride, or part thereof. And this lioness is rolling in wildebeest dung. I followed another lioness doing exactly the same thing this week. And we thought she was doing it because they were about to go off on the hunt, and they certainly looked like that's what was going on here. But it turned out that they'd already caught a wildebeest, discovered it under the tree, pulled it out. Let's head back to Jamie now and find out how they're doing.
You are back live with the pride of lions that James has just shown you, and we've been up with them all night. Just a quick introduction. My name is Jamie. This morning Dave is on camera with me, and I think that we have an exceptionally exciting morning ahead of us. As I said, it is first thing in the morning here in Kenya, and it is still pitch black out there if you have a look, but thanks to the use of infrared light, we can follow the hunting cats without affecting their behavior in any way, shape or form. Now, this is a new lion pride for all of you. It is the sausage tree pride, consisting of 2 lionesses and 4 cubs between them. Now, as you saw with James, they have enjoyed their first breakfast, but much like hobbits, lions during the migration enjoy second breakfasts and sometimes even thirds. Now, off in the distance, I can hear the gnawing of the poor wildebeest, and James, of course, has asked you about what you think it must be like. I agree, it must be absolutely terrifying. Now, at this time of year, of course, the lion's diet is almost purely wildebeest based. But Jim, lovely question. Good morning to you. You want to know if lions prefer the taste of some prey over others. Not particularly. It just depends upon what is available. If they can kill something large, then that, of course, means that they can feed for longer. But it all depends on their numbers. This is the cubs' first migration. The first time that they are hearing the gnawing of the wildebeest here in the northern part of the triangle, and what an experience it must be for them as well. So if you have any questions about the way that the migration affects the predators out here, or any other questions, you can send them through on #SafariLive on Twitter. Full belly on that little cub. The lionesses haven't had as much to eat. I wonder what they are planning on doing next. Scott, Brent and myself are all spread out across Maasai Mara. Let's go to James so that he can explain that in slightly clearer terms.
They are indeed spread out all over the Maasai Mara, some 370,000 acres we're talking about here. That's a pretty big piece of ground. Jamie's over here in the far west. She's just on the slopes of the Olololo Escarpment, across the Mara River, in the lee of what looks to be the Runkai is Scott Dyson, the famous cheetah man of Africa, of course. And then over here we have Brent Leo Smith. He is in slightly dodgy signal area at the moment, and, well, we have his car over that way because, well, Brent is quite hard on his vehicles, so you can easily tell from this map which one is Brent and which one is not. Now, just before we hand you over to Scott, I must tell you, he's not called the cheetah man of Africa for nothing. He's had a spectacular week with at least 4 plus 3, a lot of cheetah. Have a look. We met 2 cheetah sisters earlier this week, and yesterday, after some rancid gazelle leg, they went on the hunt. The wildebeest herds of the migration are a bit too much of a challenge for the slight cats, and even these impala look to be a little bit too much for them. But then, as the golden sunset faded, the sisters went hunting. A Thompson's gazelle will keep them well fed, but what's interesting here is that the 5 brothers, just like these cheetahs, are happy to hunt at night. Let's go and find out from Scott how it looked.
Hello everyone, my name's Scott. Good to have you with us. I've got Jandre on camera. We've just seen a really beautiful animal called a serval. It's a spotted cat, fairly similar looking to a cheetah, but a lot smaller. And we don't see them very often. They're almost strictly nocturnal in this part of Africa. I'm hoping we can relocate it for you. But oh, there it is, Jandre. 2 o'clock. We might get a glimpse of it. It was heading from right to left. Oof, let's try and get a little bit closer. 1 second. There we go. It's popping out. Where I'm shining. Oh, there it is. Wonderful. You've got a glimpse of this incredible cat. Like I said, it's called a serval. They hunt small rodents, and you'll notice it uses its ears quite a lot when it's hunting, and it's definitely hunting now. It'll stop every now and then and use those very, very large ears to try and detect any slight rustling or sounds in the grass. And then they often pounce high into the air and then down onto their prey. Well, I'm glad we managed to get you a glimpse of that. I'm going to try and move a little bit forward to get you a better view. And it is, like I say, hunting. We could see it pounce on something. And not a bad substitute considering the cheetahs gave us the slip at about 2 o'clock in the morning. A coalition of 5 male cheetahs that we were spending time with got up and started moving quite quickly. I'm pretty sure it was to avoid some lions that were roaring very close to where we were. We couldn't find the lions either, so it appears like the big cats in that area were not wanting to see the world today, or let the world see them. And that's fine because there's plenty more lions and cheetahs in this area. And let's hope it doesn't take us long to find you some action. I'm certainly feeling lucky. I hope you guys are too. Okay, now it's time to try and find the road. And I'm very, very happy we got to show you a glimpse of that animal. I'm sure a lot of you had never heard of it before. And now at least you've got an idea of another spectacular African cat. Well, I think it's gone, so we're gonna get back onto this road and start heading into an area where a cheetah called Malika and her 2 young boys were spending some time yesterday. I'm hoping we're going to be able to track them down, but in the meantime, we're going to be sending you back to Jamie.
Perfect idea, Scott, because of course at the break of dawn is when cheetah are most active. But speaking of active, our lioness is stalking through the night as though she owns it, which of course she absolutely does out here. There are wildebeest probably now about 200 yards away, just beyond the reach of the beams of our infrared, but you can make out their shapes in the distance over there. There's probably about 100 of them. And there she goes, stalking off, little cubs following behind. This is a complicated process for our lioness. She's lost her pride mate, the other adult, and she's got to make sure that all 4 cubs are safe and secure. Once they set off chasing the wildebeest, they panic and run in every single direction. And she's got to not only think about catching one, but at the same time making sure that they don't stampede in the direction of the cubs. There, look, you can see the wildebeest in the background. Gathered together, their eyesight is not nearly as good as the lioness's in the dark. Listen to the sounds of it. And thank you and good morning to Kay Clark. Now, Kay would like to know whether or not lion prides work together. Oh, look, the wildebeest are shuffling. They're nervous. Oh, there they go. They're racing off. They've realized something is not wrong, but they don't know which direction to move in. This is where the lions actually really utilize panic to the full advantage. Kay, lion prides do not. Members of the prides absolutely do. Lions are social hunters. It's the key to their success. They work together as a team, but lion prides are completely distinct entities from each other. The sausage tree pride, listen. Imagine what it must be like, being a wildebeest, hearing that sound that echoes up against the mountains, so you can't even pinpoint where it's coming from. Now, the sausage tree pride is the pride that has a territory right up against that of the Angama pride, who you met a couple of weeks ago with Scott. So this is a rival pride to them. Look at the little cub's curiosity, boldness. There goes the wildebeest racing along in the background. Let's just see if that triggers a chase in her. No, I think she's too nervous about the cubs. The herds, of course, have changed position repeatedly over the past few weeks, and I think it's time that James explains a little bit more about their movements this week.
Wasn't that a wonderful sound to hear just in the pre-dawn? Remember, it will be light very soon indeed, and those are probably the last calls we're going to hear after this very long night. Now, as Jamie says, we're going to have a quick discussion about the herd movements. This is the Mara Serengeti ecosystem, and in the very first week I showed you how they moved from the short grass plains of Tanzania up into the northern parts of the Serengeti. And then, over the last 4 weeks or so, they've pretty much covered half of the Maasai Mara here. But we discovered earlier this week that hundreds of thousands are still in the Lamai wedge here of the Serengeti, and they're heading north up the escarpment where Jamie is now. Let's have a closer look at this map here. We have them, of course, moving up like this. They're coming up the escarpment. This is the escarpment. There's Jamie. They're in amongst her there. Some of them heading towards the Salt Lick area, the very fertile area where they were last week, and others heading into the fertile plains. A lot of marsh areas over here, and that's pretty good for the wildebeest. They seem to steer clear of the water this week. Have a look. There they are, coming up out of the Lamai wedge into the northern parts of the triangle. And as I said, they steered clear of the water and sought out the pastures up around where we are, just below the migration control. Now, while there are thousands here, as I said, there remain hundreds of thousands still streaming towards the Mara from the Serengeti in Tanzania, and we look forward to their arrival, as no doubt do all of the lions. Now, many of you have got hold of us, thank you very much, using the hashtag Safari Live. Charles, you said you agreed with me, it must be terrifying to be a wildebeest down there in the dark. I think it must be indeed. Liz, you said they must feel foolish. I certainly think they look a bit foolish. I'm not sure if they feel that way. And Katie, you said they must feel claustrophobic. That's exactly what the darkness does make you feel like out here, especially when lions are roaring like they were with the Sausage Tree Pride. Let's head back to Jamie and see if they do it once more before the light comes.
I've lost comms. Look at what is happening here. The wildebeest are panicking off in every direction. The lioness has peeled off to the side and the wildebeest just don't know where to look. They've massed on the right and they're massing on the left as well, glancing off in the direction of the lions. Now it's just got light enough for us to be able to see the dim outlines of the cat, which means the wildebeest can as well. But with this many wildebeest around, as soon as panic sets in, the lionesses will take full advantage of it. There's the second lioness. Where have you been, girl? Oh, they're panicking. They're running straight into the lioness's path. They just need to be that little bit closer. They don't want to expend energy unnecessarily. There we go. They're moving through. Cubs settling down, well behaved. Well done, little ones. Listen to the sounds of the panicking wildebeest. There you go, comforting the cub. Calling. The poor wildebeest, imagine what it must be like to experience something like this. Right, we're going to wait and see how the situation plays out. I wonder whether or not Scott has had any luck in his search for Malika.
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but we found another incredibly rare African cat. First the serval, now the African wildcat. And you very seldom see these. This is the first one I've seen in Kenya, and another small predator of the night. Let's hope our luck with the predators continues as we search for Malika, some lion, hyena, or anything Mother Nature is willing to share with us this morning. Now, because this is a smaller cat, we're going to leave it to its own business. It hasn't been habituated to the vehicles like the lion, the leopard, and the cheetah do. So if we get too close to it, we'll chase it off, and we certainly don't want to ruin its morning. So let's rather go and look for somebody that's going to be a little bit more welcoming to us. This is the area where Malika, this female cheetah that we've spoken about and some of you have met, really likes to spend a lot of time. And you'll notice I've been using a spotlight to try and assist in picking up the reflection of the animal's eyes, and then once we know there's an animal there, Jeandre will zoom in with the camera to work out what exactly it is. So we only use the spotlight to try and locate the animals. Once they've been located, we switch over to the fancy infrared cameras. Hello to Mike. You'd like to know what has been the biggest surprise of the migration for me, and it's just the sheer numbers that boggles my mind. You really cannot comprehend how many animals are here, the sound that they make, and the opportunities that they provide the predators, all combined create for quite a spectacle. And I'm sure you guys agree, from all the clips we've been showing you and the action that you've experienced live with us, this certainly is one of Mother Nature's most incredible places to be on safari. There's just so much action happening, and let's hope our luck continues this morning, which I think it certainly is going to. Okay, now we're going to continue searching this area, scouring it for any signs of action, and while we do so, we're going to send you back to Jamie and her lion.
good luck, Scott. I'm sure you're going to find something in the action-packed Maasai Mara. So our lionesses, what it is they're doing. They keep calling, but they've got all of their cubs. I've counted all 4. All 2 of them are together. And I can only imagine the kind of panic it inspires in the wildebeest. There goes one, making a break for it. The rest of them are gathered off to the right still. Galloping, galloping. Oh, what a fantastic news. We have a 5-year-old viewer watching. Liam, you want to know how far the lionesses will go away from their babies when they go off hunting. Liam, they can go for many kilometers, especially during times when there's not much food available. And that must be equally terrifying for the lionesses, because they have to leave their cubs vulnerable, hidden away somewhere, and hope that the cubs stay where they've been put, because there are hyenas out here, there are other lions, there are lots and lots of dangers. So as soon as the cubs are old enough, the lionesses will actually take them with them, and then the cubs will just duck down whenever the lionesses are hunting. However, I would say that most of the foiled hunts that I have witnessed in the past have been thanks to the presence of these little munchkins. They don't quite know what's going on, they kind of want to help, and they don't really know how to do it, and as a result they often tend to spoil the chase. But during the time of the migration, the lionesses are not relying too much on camouflage. There's just so much prey available that all they have to do is inspire panic in them. Now they're 150 yards away from the closest wildebeest herd. They have been seen, but any moment they could set off at a wild sprint towards them. And what that means for all of you is that you absolutely should not go anywhere. We're going to be taking a short break, but when we return we will see how the saga of the sausage pride and the wildebeest plays out. Don't go anywhere. And back to all of you watching on the internet, and I have to say it always comes as a great comfort when we have a moment like this. We had an interesting moment a couple of moments ago. There's a lot of repetition of the word moment, but we had an interesting moment a few minutes ago when we weren't quite sure if we had comms or not. But disaster averted, wildebeest off to our right, lionesses in front of us. One lioness has still got quite an empty belly. So last night we stuck with the sausage pride, obviously. Now I have to tell you the fascinating tale of yesterday. Yesterday I drove past a gardenia. My focus was to try and find the sausage pride, and I couldn't find them. But I drove past a gardenia and I said to Dave, why isn't there a lion under that tree? And the end result was that was where the dead wildebeest was stashed, and there was a lion under that tree a couple of hours later. It's amazing how things like that work. Okay, which way are we going now? Are you peeling off around this other herd?
Have we got enough light?
You think we've got enough light? Kirst, can we switch to colour? Or would you prefer to do that during a TV audience show? Kirst would like to see Dave. Okay. Alright. Okay. Darby, we're gonna do... Yeah, we're gonna do the transition during TV, if that's alright. Cool. Thank you. IR cut filter back on. Now where are we going? Uh-oh. Galloping lionesses. Just playing. But you can't be going back to that wildebeest, there's nothing left. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Whee! It's much more fun when you can see where you're going. They're playing. Sweet. Oh, hold on, Dave. Becca's just instructing me as to the transition we're about to do. So what I'm going to do, Dave, is I'm going to give Rebecca a 10-second warning ahead of time. And for all of our internet audiences, we solved our communication problem by taking Dave's away. So that's why I'm explaining everything. Dave, we've got a minute. I'm sorry I took your comms away.
Oh, that's all right.
'That cub's just a belly with legs sticking out of it. 30 seconds, Dave. I'll stop for you in 10. Welcome back with our Lion Pride, the Sausage Tree Pride, here live from the Maasai Mara in Kenya. We've just seen them tormenting wildebeest, and now they've decided to enjoy some high-spirited play, racing along, dashing down into a drainage line, which is basically a dried-up river system. The cubs are having so much fun. As you can see, it is starting to get light. The sun is slowly but surely getting ready to peak up over the horizon. And what that means for us is that we can actually enjoy things in color, which means we're going to switch off our infrared light and show you just how truly extraordinarily beautiful the Maasai Mara is. That's the sun rising, lionesses playing, cubs playing, and the view of vast, uninterrupted space, filled at the moment with over 1 million wildebeest. Let's go catch up to our lions. As lovely as it is to watch the scenery, I'm sure that's what you want to see. Welcome to Olivia. Now, Olivia, you'd like to know how old the cubs are when they leave the family. Olivia, if it's a female cub, she could stay with her family for the rest of her life. Every single lioness in a pride, is related to each other in some way. Mothers, daughters, nieces, aunts. If it is a male cub, it will probably leave around about 3 years old. It depends on the circumstances, but they reach sexual maturity around then. And at that point, their fathers are actually responsible for basically booting them out of the area. An instinct drives them as well. They know it's time for them to go off in search of females of their own. And if that process didn't happen, they'd breed with their mums.
It would be nice to know who's having a conversation with who. I'm just going to keep quiet for a few seconds just so you can listen to them having a chat. Look at all of them. There are so many. And I would like to say that that conversation must be one of organized chaos. Who knows who's talking to who and when, but they seem to work things out, and they all seem to be quite peaceful this morning. But it's important not to forget that even though prey may look relaxed, there could be predators lying await in the grass nearby. Hello to Phyllis. You would like to know if the word wildebeest and gnu are one and the same, and yes, they are. Gnu is just a term used up in East Africa more commonly, whereas in other parts of Africa they are more commonly called wildebeest, but both are synonymous. Good. So, it was just yesterday we actually had a cheetah on this termite mound behind us. It wasn't Malika, but it's a good, it gives you a good idea of how many cheetah are moving through this area. They really like the short grass plains that the wildebeest have mowed for them already, so it creates a nice safe environment for them. It'll be tricky for lions to sneak up on them. It also is useful for us because it makes it a little bit easier for us to find them, not in such long grass. Oh, there goes a jackal at 10 o'clock. we're getting lucky with the smaller predators. This is a black-backed jackal, a fox-like creature that can bring down its own prey, but it does do a lot of scavenging, so often provides good entertainment, snipping at lions' heels, as well as cheetah, trying to distract them while they get little titbits from their meal. So some other vehicles already out on safari, which is good for us, because if they help us find some animals, we will obviously be very grateful. So the more people searching this area, the better, and the Bush Telegraph will inform us if they, of course, have any luck. And of course, we would do the same. So teamwork is a big thing between all the guides in all the wilderness areas I've worked in. So it's good to see the other vehicles out and about. It's not just us. We had the whole Mara to ourselves last night, but now it's good to see some other vehicles. Okay. All right, well, we're going to send you back up to the migration control to Mr. Henry, who is going to let you know a little bit about what the zebra have been getting up to over the last couple of weeks.
Was that not the most wonderful scene of the wildebeest there in the dawn light? Just stunning stuff. And I think that they are saying not very complicated things to each other. I've no doubt many of you are wondering, what are they saying to each other? I think they're saying, hey, 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 hey. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. Now, why am I looking at you through a crocodile skull? Well, because the crocodiles, of course, use the reserve or use the river as their preserve. But the world's most powerful jaws don't always have it their own way. Have a look what happened at the water this week. Most of the action happened at Main North Crossing, and in fact that's been the busiest crossing we've had all year. Now the instinct to survive is extremely strong here, often no matter the cost. The cost here was dreadful, but not insurmountable, and this nasty wound, although excruciating, will probably heal with a decent feeding of migration grass. This instance, the crocodile behaved in what might be described as a gormless fashion, wading ineffectually into the line of zebra and then lying there, perhaps waiting for something to climb into his mouth. Wonderful watching the foal step over him, do a face plant, and then walk up into the plains to have a bit of a graze. Wasn't that classic stuff? It was totally farcical. Now everybody, we have a great treat for you. You've seen his vehicle over here on its side. You'll be pleased to know that he's still wearing his tablecloth. Let's head across to Brentley O'Smith.
Good morning and welcome to the Maasai Mara. Unfortunately, I'm devoid of big cats at the moment after spending the whole night with them. My name is Brentley O'Smith. I have the incredible VM on camera. Now, can you believe that last night this area was littered in wildebeest and zebra, and they could possibly be heading towards the crossings? Actually, I'm quite certain they are. Who knows, they might even cross this morning. They got chased by lions last night, so that probably sped up their process. Now you can just see about a month and a half ago this grass was up to here, and it has completely been obliterated. Now this doesn't mean the migration won't come back here. The migration is a fluid thing, so if we get a lot of local rain in this area, that could bring back those hundreds of thousands of wildebeest, especially with all the fertilizer they've deposited while they've walked through the area. Now this is one of the most spectacular areas in the world, and you can see the sort of escarpment or the mountains up ahead of us, and from there you've got that sort of acacia woodland, and then you drop into these massive open plains of the Maasai Mara. Now I'm going to try see if I can find two male lions I had a little bit earlier last night, or probably lost them at about 4:30 a.m. They were heading in this direction, so fingers crossed. Who knows, maybe they'll find some wildebeest of their own. But in the meantime, Jamie's got lions that are surrounded by wildebeest.
Hopefully the short grass aids Brent in his search. In the meantime, the long grass over here is serving to act as the perfect playground for our lion cubs. Although they are surrounded by wildebeest, and at any point the lionesses could choose to use the grass as cover to sneak up on them, at the moment they're treating themselves to a little bit of relaxation and, in the case of the cubs, some playtime, disappearing in and out of the red oat grass. The wildebeest have only just in the last few days arrived in great numbers in this area, and what that means is that the grass is not yet short. Oh, look at this. It's one of my favorite things in the world to watch lionesses play with their cubs. There's just so much affection. Well, from the lioness's side at least. Sometimes the cubs get a little bit hyped up and use far more teeth and claw. Oh, racing along. They're happy, their bellies are full. And this is what the migration means for the lion prides of this area. Easy pickings and contented cubs. A perfect start to life. And we've got two different age groups here, around about, I would guess, between the youngest maybe around about 3 months, the older ones closer actually to 6 months now that I'm seeing them in the light. And as I said, this is their very first migration. But the wonderful thing that lionesses do, and we've spoken about this before, is synchronize their estrus cycles or their heat cycles. And in that way, they can all focus on raising the cubs together. And while our lioness tackles the little cub, we've got another question coming through from Avi. Now, Avi, you would like to know if the lionesses ever get cross with the cubs for ruining their hunts. I have seen it happen many times, and yes, I think the lionesses do get cross. They never punish them. They don't bat the cubs or anything like that, but they do get frustrated, and you can see it in their thrashing tails and their look of dejection. Remember, a lioness or any predator actually expends a huge amount of energy during the process of a hunt, and although they are not successful every single time, putting in their best effort is absolutely essential. They only have so much energy and stamina to spare. Lions in particular, look at the strength in that lioness's shoulders. She is built for power, not for stamina. She cannot keep up a high-speed run for too long. And that is why they are so good at both utilizing their camouflage in the long grass and, of course, making the most of teamwork. What have you seen, girl? A little bit earlier on, there were some hyenas that came wandering through here, attracted by the carcass. And of course, this river system acts as a perfect cover for them. Well, we wait and see if they decide to turn up once again. Speaking of rivers, there is, of course, a massive river system off away from us. Let's hear more about it from James.
Indeed, a massive river system just down there. Look at my view. I promised you a vulture's eye view of the Mara floor, and there it is as the sun comes up. It's a bit brighter outside. We've got a bit of a filter on the window here so that you won't get blinded. Let's head down to what we call Main South Crossing. There we have a crocodile, everybody, and that crocodile is waiting for the crossings that will hopefully happen later today. We had 5 crossings yesterday, and not one of them involved one of these dangerous reptiles of the deep. In fact, all of the wildebeest and zebra that crossed yesterday did so totally unhampered. Now, Turbo, you're wondering if land predators are ever attacked by hippos, and hippos certainly can be killed by lions. It doesn't happen very often, especially not with full-grown hippo, but it does happen from time to time. And crocodiles and lions sometimes battle it out at the water's edge. If there's a piece of meat that they both want to eat, then often they will have a little bit of a spat. Now, this chap is not a particularly large crocodile. I'd put him at roughly, say, 12 feet or so. They can get up to 18 feet in this area. Now, we've talked about the aquatic predator. You've seen a number, of course, of, land-based predators. Scott has managed to find another one.
You've joined at a good time. This absolute brute of a lioness, look at the size of her chest, is about to pace straight past the side of our vehicle. Interesting that she's on her own. She has just let out a loud roar, and I hope she does it again. So she's obviously looking for other pride members. She looks quite well fed, but there's definitely room for a little bit more wildebeest in there. And she's actually heading not too far from that herd we were looking at earlier. So anything could happen. She could join forces with other Pride members and then head off into that herd. There's a lot of easy pickings there. I hope she does call again. One of my favorite things to share with people on safari is a lion roaring. Oh, she's going again.
Right, everybody, sorry about that. This is a very complicated area. Out of 370,000 acres or so in high definition. It brings with it certain technical difficulties. We'll be back with Scott as soon as we possibly can. I wonder if we might go down to Cul-de-sac Crossing. Can we do that? There's a beautiful crocodile lying on the sand over there. And we will go down there, hopefully. Now, there we are. Look at that enormous crocodile there. Just to give you an idea of what they look like when they're not in the water. They look so unwieldy, I find, but in actual fact, they're tremendously agile. And there, next to him, well, I think many people's favourite, the hippo. Lying peacefully after a night out of grazing, and there'll be a whole pod of them in here, thousands and thousands of hippo ply the river bends of the Mara River. This is the Mara River, by the way, the main river system that runs through the Maasai Mara. And I think that if I was a hippo, this is where I'd like to live. You have the sort of holiday season during the migration when there's a huge amount of action around, and then for the rest of the year, these gently flowing waters are a very peaceful home for you to be in. Isn't that nice? Alrighty, away from here and to the west, in the lee of the Ululolo escarpment, is Jamie Patterson. Let's go and find out how the sausages are doing.
The sausages are doing fantastically, and they seem to be, oopsie, in very good spirits. I nearly tipped us into quite a severe river system. That would have been unpleasant. Oh, there we go. Let's just catch up with the sausages ever so slightly. The sausages are providing us with some truly extraordinary scenery. I'm just going to speak a little bit softer. Obviously, the lioness was right next to us. Here she comes, stalking off in the direction of the cubs. Have we got all of them here? 1, 2, 3. I definitely saw 4 earlier. At the around about, I would say, midnight mark, maybe a little bit earlier, the lioness has actually met up with a male lion, one of the dominant male lions in this area. And he's the one that ate most of their kill. And what actually ended up happening was that the male started to walk away, and the cubs, being cubs and curious, like this little one is about to be into the water, cubs being cubs, they decided to follow him. And the lioness had to go off searching, and she ended up, very graceful. She ended up calling for a good hour or so before she managed to get back to the cubs and collect them again. I remember all of this is happening live here in Kenya, which means that the animals tell you their stories rather than the other way around. There's no scripting. We cannot edit what the lions do. Oh, these little cubs are too terribly sweet as they go for their morning drink. And thank you to all of you who've been sending through your questions. It is so special to hear from you, and that's what makes it feel like a proper safari. Jerry, you would like to know what are the dangers to the cubs, or what are the chances of them being crushed in a stampeding or underneath stampeding wildebeest? I would say that they instinctively know to hide away when the lionesses are hunting, but I imagine that it does happen. I couldn't give you an exact percentage of how frequently it occurs, but I would say that it is a distinct danger. I mean, we've been involved in hunts at night where we've had to dodge very quickly out of the way, away from panicking wildebeest, just because they're in such a state when the lions hunt them that they don't really pick a direction. They just go as one unit, and you've seen that with the crossing behavior. It's exactly the same when the lions hunt them. I could, in fact I still can, see more wildebeest on top of the ridge. We really are surrounded. We are right in the middle of the beginning of the migration. Another thing that I can see off in the distance is the beginnings of the hot air balloons taking off, which means that we can bring you the most extraordinary view from the sky.
That, everybody, was the actual balloon that Manu is sitting in. Manu's the cameraman in the balloon there, bringing you these bucket list shots here. Now what I'm going to ask you to do as we float gently down over the world's most romantic wilderness area is tell me in no more than one word on the hashtag Safari Live how it makes you feel to float above this ancient wilderness. That's hashtag Safari Live. One word please about how this makes you feel. Think about the smells of the oat grass, the gentle, gentle breeze as this balloon floats through the air, and of course, well, there's also the smell of the wildebeest dung. You can see them off there on the left-hand side. I find it quite a pleasant smell, actually. And we're floating towards some of the herds here, completely at the mercy of the wind. There is no steering of this balloon at all, so who knows what we'll see. This really will be completely surprising, anything that we see on this balloon. Beautiful zebra and wildebeest over there, another huge herd beyond in that marshy area beyond, and hopefully some predators in the middle. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to go away for a short break. When we come back, perhaps the balloon will find us the Paradise Pride. Okay, we're over. All right, everybody. Hello. With the internet, let's quickly go across to Scott. He's got another canid.
Chat ladder. Look at how cool these little animals are. They're called bat-eared foxes, and they are tiny little things. Oh, we haven't seen many of them. They, again, are mainly nocturnal. We've been really lucky with the smaller critters, so I'm glad you got that glimpse. I just want to show you in terms of size. I mean, they are tiny. They're like this big. Cute. Okay. So, in the next 4.5 minutes, we will be finding a cheetah. Just to let you all know, I would not like to surprise any of you too much. So that is the plan. We saw a total of 12 cheetah yesterday. We literally didn't know which cheetah to spend time with. Ideally that would have been the case today, but it is not. Or at least not yet. So, there was 2 different females, Malika and her 2 boys. So that's 5, plus the coalition of 5, that's 10, plus the 2 sisters, that's 12. All of them seem to be doing well, except for 2 of the lone females. They were not full-bellied. The rest of them had done quite well. So it'll be nice to bump into one of them to see if they've had any success this morning, or ideally spectating them succeeding or failing in their plight to get the next meal. The thing is, the cheetah, they move such big distances in such short periods of time, even when they're just walking. So they could be anywhere, but that is the joy of being out here, just like that lioness we saw earlier pleasantly surprised us. So could a cheetah or a leopard. What to do next? So you saw 4 vehicles all jammed close together in there, Jean-Andre?
Yeah. Not visible from here, unfortunately.
Okay. Beautiful sunrise. Okay, let me go back a bit and see if it's worth. Okay, team, it's been most wonderful having you with us. We are going to be sending you back to Jamie, and I hope you have a good time with her.
All right, Scotty, are you going to do your safari in reverse this morning? I can't believe the luck that Scott has had. It really has been the most extraordinary morning for him. Bat-eared foxes, absolutely magnificent. And Dave, just to let you know, we've still got 90 seconds to the start of TV. Bat-eared foxes, serval and wildcat. It's crazy. I'm not going to complain, though. I mean, it doesn't get much more beautiful than this. The canoeing of canoes. You must all have been so excited to have seen those bat-eared foxes. Brent told me he found a den actually recently. One day when I have some time, I'm going to go and investigate. I haven't seen bat-eared foxes in a long time. "40 seconds, Dave." Very beautiful. 30 seconds. Oh, and one cub has got either a stick or a leg of a wildebeest. 20 seconds. Welcome back live to the Maasai Mara, where dawn has well and truly broken, and we are being treated to probably one of the best views in the world. Dawn breaking over the Maasai Mara during the middle of the Great Migration. It absolutely doesn't get better than this. We've been up all night following the Sausage Tree Lion Pride, consisting of 2 lionesses and their 4 gorgeous and playful cubs. They've had their first breakfast and now they're strolling along, enjoying the morning air. It is crisp, clean and cool. Everything smells so beautiful and very dusty. It smells beautiful and dusty and grassy. And there's a little bit of an animal smell mixed in as well with this many wildebeest. Because this is a live safari, for those of you that have just perhaps tuned in, you can send through your questions and your comments on #SafariLive on Twitter. Remember, this is all about you and showing you the extraordinary wonders of the natural world, telling the story of the Great Migration as it changes the lives of the various predators and, of course, in fact, changes the entire ecosystem. Where are you off to, lions? Where are you leading us to next? I think we should go and follow them. There is nothing that I enjoy more than following a predator through the grasses and wondering where on earth the morning is going to take us. Let's go and catch up with them quickly. While we do some bumping over the grass, you missed a couple of exciting little creatures during that advertisement break, and James is going to show you them.
Before we get to the exceptional little creatures, thank you, Ben, for sending through your one-word tweet about how that bucket list Mara balloon safari made you feel. You said it made you feel exceptional. It makes me feel exceptional exactly every time I look at it. Now, unfortunately, while you're away, well, fortunately for Scott, not so much for you, he's found, of course, serval today. He's found an African wildcat. He's found 2 jackals. He also found a bat-eared fox. Have a look here. These are very, very rare, largely nocturnal animals, and they have enormous ears so that they can look down at the ground and hear where their termite and ant prey are moving. Isn't it a beautiful little thing? A little pair of them there, and with any luck, we'll see them again. I think that's spectacular. It really is very, very special to see that. It's unlikely they're going to go hunting the wildebeest migration anytime soon, being as they are eaters of ants and termites, but still, Scott is on his way to the migration and hopefully some cheetah.
Well, there's a whole bunch of vehicles up ahead here, and like I said earlier, with a bit of teamwork, the word spreads and sightings get shared. So, let's go and see what it is they found. I'm guessing it could possibly be a leopard. Leopard love thick vegetation like this. Maybe if we're lucky it's up a tree with a kill. Maybe it's nothing at all because there's somebody out their vehicle. One of the vehicles looks like it's actually broken down. This could be a scrapyard by the looks of things. Only kidding. It appears we have found a camp. They're about to head out on safari, so they're not actually looking at anything. And I guess that gives you a good idea of how big this place is. We don't even know where we are. We're going to rush you off to Brent, who's found some wildebeest.
Look at that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? The sun rising with a herd of wildebeest streaming to the south. Now that ties in to with what I was saying a little bit earlier about how local rains affect the wildebeest migration. There's a massive storm brewing. Well, actually not brewing, it's breaking. We had thunder and lightning and all sorts earlier down to the south of us. And that's obviously bringing the wildebeest all the way down into the southern areas around the Sand River and further south into Tanzania. So the wonderful thing about the migration, it's a fluid thing, it's constantly changing. Now remember, if you want to ask us any questions about what's happening here during the migration, please do that by using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Now remember, this is 100% live. We don't know whether a pride of lions is going to crash through that herd of wildebeest at any second, and there are lions near us, and I'm hoping they can hear the gnu, and that brings them coming up to the top of the hill here to possibly try find some breakfast. There's also 3 different cheetah that hang out in this area. Good morrow, or good evening, Judy. Judy's wondering, when and how do wildebeest sleep, and how often? Well, it all depends. Most of your ruminants or your antelope, you'll find they doze rather than sleep. So you need to keep a close eye on what's happening. So there will always be one awake. The only animals that really truly sleep, the sleep of the sort of the dead, are the big cats and predators, as well as elephants occasionally, but they don't sleep for very long. They sleep for very short periods. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. Moving towards where the rain has been falling. So everyone sort of assumes there's one big herd of wildebeest. There's not. There's multiple big herds that split up, rejoin, move around, and I'd really love to know the sort of dynamics that goes into the herds. You could sort of just think about this wildebeest going, meh, let's go that way, or meh, let's go that way, and the sort of argument that happens between them. Now, last week, James in Migration Control was very rude about what he called, I think, my tablecloth. This is, of course, a Maasai shuka, and I know why he was very rude. It's because he can't pull off wearing a tablecloth. But anyway, let's go back to James, who's going to teach you a little bit about crocodiles in the murderous Mara River.
In my opinion, tables are the only things that can get away with wearing tablecloths. I see, in addition to the tablecloth today, we have a multicoloured sort of scarfy type kokoi thing. Really, it is quite intimidating. Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat had nothing on Brent Leo Smith. Good. Now, we have a crocodile skull here. You've seen it already. I'm going to try very much not to have my hand broken. Look at the teeth. They are an amazing feature of the skull. And they're amazing because they are not designed for cutting or for chewing. And I'll tell you why. If you look over here, there's a massive space for an enormous muscle. And that muscle drives the world's most powerful biting force, some 3,700 pounds per square inch. Now, that's a totally meaningless thing to say to you until you realize that your own bite, plus minus, is around 120 pounds per square inch. So this thing will bite at roughly 30 times the force that you're able to.
If you had teeth like yours or like a lion's, what would happen is that if you bit at that force, you would tear off some flesh from your prey, and your prey would probably then escape. And so you need these grabbing and grasping teeth, just like the ones that pulled that hapless zebra's tail off there. Well, you need these teeth if you have a biting force like that. Now, the crocodiles that ply their trade here in the Mara River are some of Africa's very largest. Take a look at their lives.
On the banks and beneath the surface of the Mara River lurks a disreputable reptile. For nature's favorite villain, pickings have been slim for the last 9 months. But now, the wait is over. The migration has arrived. The loathsome dinosaurs of the deep slink beneath the muddy surface as the herds approach. Inexorably drawn to the greener pastures on the other side. The buffet table is set. The wait is over. The crossing begins. Wildebeest, zebra, and gazelle are grabbed by the world's most powerful bite. Africa's biggest crocodiles feast like this for weeks, until the next herd is drawn to the water's edge. These villains of the Mara will bask content in the sun.
Welcome back to the Maasai Mara. We are coming to you live, and this little serval cat is doing some hunting. We got a glimpse of one earlier. What has it found in there? Let's take a closer look. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it missed. They will feed on very small rodents, and they'll use those massive satellite dish-like ears to help them detect their prey. It's an interesting... you can see it's walked through a puddle this morning. Its back legs are a bit wet. And aren't they just the most beautiful, beautiful animals? A little bit bigger than a domestic house cat, to give you an idea, and probably now that you can see me, it gives you a good idea of how big they actually are. And they hunt, like I said, mainly small rodents. You can hear there's some lapwings, some birds shouting at it. They know it would also like to snack on their chicks if they've got chicks nearby. And so great to be able to show you one of the less well-known stars of the African wilderness. I love those little white lines on the back of their ears, almost like false eyes on the back of their heads. And that's a young boy. He's quite small, quite a lot smaller than the one we saw a little bit earlier. Hello to Lisa. Yes, this is fantastic to see a serval or any of the carnivores of Africa hunting is an absolute privilege, but especially one like this, one that we see so rarely. And I'm really looking forward to spending more time with them. There's good populations of them in the Mara, so it is something that we can all look forward to in the coming weeks and months. Wonderful. Now, as tempted as I am to stay with this spotted cat, there is an urge within me that is saying, head further north in search of some cheetah, that we're heading in that direction. And while we continue on that mission, we'll be sending you across to Brent.
Well, as I said, being live out in the Mara, you never know what's around the next corner, and literally here we go. We've found a lioness, and it actually looks like quite a big pride, and she found a carcass. There it is there, and it looks like a natural mortality of the migration. A lot of wildebeest just die naturally. They're not well, they get injured, and she picked up the carcass. She now seems to be ignoring it. She is walking down towards a lugga. A lugga is what we call a little stream, and we can see some other lionesses in the lugga to the right a little bit. But Wiem spotted the cubs a little bit to the right. There we go. There's a whole host of little cubs down there. Now, I'm wondering if she's not going to fetch the cubs to bring them back to this carcass. But there is another lioness walking straight towards us at the moment. and that long line of wildebeest we just left is only a couple hundred meters behind us. So maybe this carcass she found is a bit manky, a bit smelly, and with the migration around, maybe she's in the mood for fresh meat and she's going to get some reinforcements. Oh, look at this, they're going to play. Look at this, they're going to play. And in a nice cool morning like this, lionesses can be very playful. So she's lying in ambush for her pride mate. As she gets closer, she's probably going to pounce out of the grass. Okay, let's watch carefully. Oh, I think the other one got spotted. There we go. Fun and games. Oh, they're going the opposite direction to each other. That was a bit of miscommunication there. But it looks like this one is jogging towards us where that carcass was. Now, Cara is wondering where the pride... Oh, quickly across to James!
Look at this, everybody, into the river, one of the great spectacles of the migration, a crossing. Wildebeest coming across the river and seemingly mercifully for them, unharassed by crocodiles, hippo in the background, and these chaps are swimming across, really struggling, which the river has come up during the night, and I think they're struggling with the rapids. But there they're making it out. Come on, chaps. That's it. Well done, all of you making it out there. There will be crocodiles lurking around, but perhaps a little too chilly for them to make a meaningful dent in this little herd. Look at the one watching the camera there. Isn't that cool? This is so special, everyone. I was really hoping we'd be able to show you this. I have never seen it happen this early in the morning, and so it is a real privilege to bring you the first live wildebeest crossing on TV. Isn't that fantastic? Come on, little one. Well done. Off you go and enjoy some breakfast. Oh, wow. Let's go quickly across and see if we don't have a few more coming in. You saw those ones in the background. They're getting very skittish and jumping out. And you see them massing there on the far side of the bank. And they'll come down at some stage during the day, either to have a drink or maybe to cross the river. I'm not sure. Isn't that very special? Isn't that beautiful? Now, Joel, you want to know why, whoops, sorry about that, why it is that the river crossings happen at certain spots. Joel, I think it's because there are limited spots on the river where the conditions are right. Shallow water is good so that they can walk on the bottom as opposed to swim, and then banks that are not steep and don't sort of have precipitous cliffs that the animals have to jump off. Not all of the crossing points are like that, but I think that's what they look for, and I think that's why we've had such an enormous amount of action at this crossing this week. Scott is having a fantastic small morning. Let's go and have a look.
Well, it is all happening in the Mara this morning. All the predators are at it, and look at this pied kingfisher. Look at how still its head keeps as it hovers. Intense focus. And it's doing some fishing. There's some tiny fish that live in this pond, but it's not alone. There's some other birds doing some fishing. Look at these guys. These guys are yellow-billed storks. They're working as a team. There's a hammerkop, the brown bird, which named directly translates to hammerhead for its distinctively hammer-shaped head. So obviously a lot of small fish. Oh, that front bird got one there. And we, like James says, are getting spoiled by some of the less popular stars of the African wilderness, showing us how they go about their business. Oh, that one got, the front one got a little one there. So interesting that this tiny little puddle can provide so much food for 3 different bird species. Let's see if we can't get this kingfisher in action. This is a tricky one for Jandre on camera because it plummets out the sky so quickly. Oh, it decided on aborting that mission. Absolutely wonderful stuff here, and it's a pleasure to be sharing it with you guys live. Oh, it got one. Well done, Jandre. Incredible camera work. Now, what they sometimes do is, oh, no, that one's small enough just to swallow alive. Imagine having a little fish swimming around your stomach. That cannot feel good. Well, from searching for big cats to searching to aerial predators who knows what we are going to be showing you next. You are going to be heading off for a short break, but be sure to tune in and make sure you find out what is waiting around the next corner. Hello everyone. Whew. Beautiful stuff. I was midway through a quick pit stop when Genre told me that Kirsty's linking to me, so it was a bit of panic and pandemonium to get my earpiece all plugged in and make sure we were ready to go live there. But it all worked out. It's absolutely fine, Kirsty. Wasn't that cool? And it seems like this morning we really are getting spoiled with some unique sightings. So let's hope that continues. The different roads and areas here. This place is so big. It's going to take us quite a bit of time to get used to. So a lot of the times I'm driving along these roads, it feels like it could well be the first time. And to be in a place this big and remote and expansive is an absolute pleasure, and to be sharing it with you firsthand is even better. So it sounds like Brent has decided to invite you onto his vehicle, so off you go.
There we go. It seems like every individual lioness is coming up to this expired baby wildebeest to have a look. We've had 2 so far. There are 5 lionesses in this pride, 14 cubs, and you can see some of the cubs cavorting down there in the lugger. Oh, they're just too gorgeous. I'd say the oldest is just under 6 months. So there are 19 lions in this area at the moment. They are the Ronkai pride. And they are beautiful. Now, Vim and I have spent the last 2 days. And sorry guys, we're going to do a quick delay test to make sure everything's working. There we go. Now quickly, before the lioness gets here, VM, because I know we've got a lot of birders still with us, on top of that termite mound over there, second termite mound, there we go, middle frame, for the birders. Oh no, it flew away! Bye, superb starling. Okay, lioness is about to arrive at the carcass. Sorry about that, VM. And there she's got a little bit of a limp. It's actually got better over the last 2 days. Now the very exciting thing is, out of nowhere, just behind us, we can hear boom, gnu, gnu, and the wildebeest are very close to us, probably no more than 200 meters. They don't seem to be very keen on eating this carcass. This is the 3rd lioness who's come up for a sniff. This is just magnificent morning light. There we go, we can see some of the cubs down in the lugger. Okay, well, she's picking it up. And we're going to go back to TV, guys. Welcome back live on the vehicle. Now, one of the lionesses has picked up this little carcass. Now, this wildebeest looks to have died of natural causes, and that happens a lot during the migration. And lions are very happy to scavenge, and it looks like she might be carrying it down towards where all the cubs are in the lugger. So we're just going to sit here. There's another big herd of wildebeest approaching from behind us, and that tiny bit of meat is not going to be enough to feed 19 lions. Yes, 19 lions. This is the Rongai pride. 5 females, 14 cubs here presently. And a little bit earlier, when at about 3 a.m., there were actually 21 lions here. Now, we had 2 of the pride males as well, and that leads us back to Kara, and what Kara was asking, will they join the hunt? Now, Kara, they do definitely join the hunt on occasion, but they decided to go off marching around, probably heard some other males that might be approaching or encroaching into their territory, and they went off roaring in the distance, and they headed to the northeast of us. But now, if we have a look carefully right down on the edge of that tree line, you'll suddenly see there's some lighter, different specks there, and that is some of the 14 cubs. And as I said, they're all very cute, and I'm going to sit here. I think they're going to come right up to us and this other lioness. Now, while we wait patiently for either the wildebeest to come over the ridge towards the lions, or the lions to come up towards us, we've got an absolutely spectacular view of one of the most integral parts of this ecosystem, the Mara River.
Stunning, stunning scenes there of the lions in the grass, and now more stunning scenes of a crocodile in the Mara River from the balloon. Is that not magnificent? Just like the crocodile we saw earlier, just floating gently and mysteriously and slightly sinisterly with the flow of the river. There are obviously other crocodiles there. And you'll find that away from the main crossings, the crocs are probably slightly smaller than they are in these sort of regions, because of course crocodiles are not above cannibalism. They'll eat each other, especially little ones, and so I'm very glad I'm not a crocodile, not a very large man. Then of course we have huge pods of hippo, and as I was saying, just the perfect place for them to live. Very gently flowing water for the most part, not very rough rapids at all. And during the migration, well, it's party season. Now, I think this must be a crossing of sorts that we're going over here. It's not one that we have a camera at, but you can see there that the grass has been denuded off that area. So it's either a drinking spot, very popular, or perhaps a crossing point. Now, we've spent a lot of time looking at crocodiles today, haven't we? And we're going to continue the game that we have played every week. You may notice that I'm starting to sound upset. I lose it most of the time, you see. The game is called 2 Truths and 1 Lie. What I'm going to do is give you 3 statements about crocodiles. One of them will be utter rubbish. You need to pick which one that is. And then using the hashtag Safari Live, you can write answer 1, answer 2, or answer 3, depending on which one you think is rubbish. Okay, here we go. Answer number 1 is that crocodiles, this one is eating a digestive biscuit. It's been eating too much migration meat. Can go up to a year without eating anything at all, not even a digestive biscuit. Answer number 2 is that the crocodiles we find here are the biggest in the world. Answer number 3 is that a crocodile can launch itself, well, half of itself, out of the water in order to take some prey. So those are the 3 answers. One of them is absolute rubbish. You can write hashtag Safari Live, answer 1, answer 2, or answer 3, depending on which one is nonsense. They can go for a year without eating anything at all. They're the biggest crocodiles in the world here in the Mara, and they can launch themselves up to half their body length out of the water in order to catch their prey. So that's the game, 2 truths and 1 lie, and I hope that you're going to lose today. Let's head across to Brent Leo Smith. He is still with those beautiful lions.
They are absolutely gorgeous, and they're starting to be very, very playful. Now, the lionesses are slowly moving up the ridge, up and down the ridge, and I'm hoping they're going to come up all the way. As I said, there's a whole massive herd of wildebeest. I can't see them yet. And they're going, no. So you're going to have to come back and find out if they go over the hill after the short break. two reedbuck them where that car is. I might move. Ah, the cars are coming. No, reedbuck are way too smart for you, Lion. See them gone. Hi guys! Not sure what was going on there, but our lioness spotted some reedbuck, but they spotted her way before she got anywhere close. Off to the right there, Vim, you can just make out the reedbuck. Now those are boha reedbuck. So in between those two safari vehicles, off to the right there, and she started stalking them. So there we go. Let's just see if we can get the reedbuck. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. More to the right. More to the right. They just wait a little bit wider. They should be hiding in that grass there. Oh no, they've dashed off even further. And well, boha reedbuck have vanished. Okay, well, we see what the lions get up to next. Let's go to Scotty, who's got a spotted predator.
Well, we have got very lucky here. There are some incredibly cute little hyena cubs, one of which is the one you can see, but the one that's actually suckling is absolutely tiny, possibly the smallest of, look at the size of it, it is miniature. I have never seen a hyena cub that small. Absolutely awesome. And with all the action that's been going on here, we haven't spent too much time at the den sites, but we certainly will be going forward, and it's going to be fascinating to get to know these super clans. They are very, very large here in the Maasai Mara, far bigger than what we're used to down in South Africa at Djuma. So there's going to be a lot to learn about these very interesting and complex beasts. There's a horrendous smell, and I'm not sure if it's the hyenas that have been rolling around in something, or possibly eating a rotten carcass that they came across, but every now and then we get this terrible stench. But the cuteness of those little cubs is making it all worthwhile. Copy, thanks, Kirst. So there's been some bobbing and weaving with regards to when we are going to go live, but it will be in the next 20 seconds or so. Inviting back our TV audience, who will hopefully, like you guys, continue following us on the internet. Welcome back to the Maasai Mara. Now, if any of you didn't like hyena or have heard nasty things about them, I'm very, very confident the time we spend at this den site is going to help change your mind. There are a few tiny little cubs. They're incredibly cute hyena cubs. They're pitch black little fur balls, one of which is actually suckling its mother at the moment, so hopefully as soon as it stops suckling and pokes its head up, we'll get a much better view. My name's Scott. It's good to have you with us, and like I say, we are coming to you live from the Maasai Mara. We've just stumbled upon this hyena den. Looks like the mothers have had a successful night out. Their bellies are very full. Now this is the mother. You can see that little cub suckling there. And it's definitely the smallest little hyena cub I've ever seen. But there's action over on Brent's vehicle, so off you go. We'll be waiting here.
Well, from a tiny hyena cub to a not so tiny, well, still very small lion cub, who's a very brave little boy and taking quite a risk. He's left the rest of the pride, travelled about 150 meters to what's left of this little wildebeest carcass, and he's now trying to drag it all the way down to the rest of the pride, and that carcass probably weighs the same amount he does. And look at him. It's more of a toy than food. He's practicing his killing tactics for when he gets a bit older. Look at that. Now, that shows you that cub is under 6 months old and is already able to pull a carcass of that size around like it was a rag doll. Now, remember, this is coming to you 100% live from the Maasai Mara in Kenya. We're with the Rongai Pride. 19 lions, well, we're focused on probably the bravest of all the little chaps. And as he drags that wildebeest carcass away. Now, I've got a question for all of you, and I obviously am very lucky and I get to spend a huge amount of time with the wonderful wildlife, including lions, and I would like to know, what is your favorite thing about lions? Use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter and tell me what is your favorite thing about lions. I'd love to hear from you. Oh, he got a mouthful of not so lovely wildebeest. As I said, there's something a little bit funky, or there could be something a bit funky with this wildebeest. The fact that the lionesses didn't eat it. I just think that they are so lucky with the migration being around at the moment, that they are so full of wildebeest that they're getting a bit choosy. Now, that ties in perfectly with what Janine was doing, and Janine was obviously using the hashtag #SafariLive to get hold of us. And Denise about that. And Denise was wanting to know, how old must a carcass be before a lion won't eat it? Now, that is all a matter of how hungry the lion is. If a lion is hungry, they will eat the most putrid, rotting, disgusting, smelling, green, grey, slimy flesh that is possible. Now, I've even seen male lions eat an elephant carcass that must be a month and a half old. It was almost soup. You had to lick it up. Now, we're going to leave this little guy who's struggling to carry a carcass to another predator carrying a carcass with Scott.
Well, can you believe it? It's a morning full of surprises. These hyena too are bringing back some scraps to the den. I'm not sure what part of what animal this hyena is dragging around, and it probably explains the stench. It could have been a slightly rotten carcass that they've got a hold of, and there's hyenas all over the show. Speaking of which, there's some little cubs about to poke their head out of the den, I think. I've just heard some squealing there. Look at that. They are so cute. And a lot of you will be surprised at their coloration, as was I the first time I saw a little hyena cub. They're pitch black when they're born, and only by about 3 months of age will they start developing their spots. So I'm guessing this one's about a month old. The other one that's still nursing, that we had a glimpse of earlier, I would say is about 2 weeks. It can barely walk, and it's just enjoying suckling on its mother's highly nutritious milk. Hyenas provide their youngsters with some of the most nutritious milk in the world, and there it is. Interestingly, one of the kind of sad things, it is nature though, with hyenas, is that the cubs often commit siblicide. So this cub may have already outcompeted its siblings to the point that they starve or actually just get killed by wrestling one another. And that means it gets its mother's undivided attention. So it's a harsh method that nature uses, but a useful one that ensures that only one or sometimes two young get raised. And you're doing a great job raising that youngster so far. I always find it fascinating how gentle and caring these animals can be, because we often see them in less cute and cuddly scenarios. Look at how tiny that thing is. Great stuff. Well, I'm glad we got a glimpse of those cubs. We're going to press on and see if we still don't have any luck tracking down a cheetah before the end of the safari. While we do so, back to James in the control.
I've lost again, everybody, but my sense of depression is
much mitigated by those beautiful hyena cubs. My name is James Hendry. It's wonderful to be with you live, of course, from the Maasai Mara. I'm in the migration control room here, and I have lost 2 truths and 1 lie. 21% of you said that it is untrue that crocodiles can go for a year without digestive biscuits or anything else to eat. That is in fact true. In fact, there are some schools of thought that say 2 years. 72% of you said I was talking rubbish when I said that these are the biggest crocodiles in the world. You, of course, were all correct. They are not the biggest. The biggest are the saltwater crocodiles of Australia. I'm only flicking them because I'm so cross. And then 7% of you said that they cannot launch out of the water half their body mass to catch prey. They can, and they look a little bit like breaching sharks. They don't get all the way out, but it is very impressive to watch one of these crocodiles leap out of the water. Now, we've had a spectacular time with the crocodiles. We've had a spectacular time with the hyenas. They are one of the most important predators in this ecosystem. Have a look at what they get up to.
The Maasai Mara plays host to some of Africa's biggest clans of spotted hyena. They live and thrive here. Bearing witness to their company erodes their reputation as ugly, cackling villains and demonstrates their alluring sense of community. They are among nature's most resourceful creatures. Hyenas salvage potential food wherever they may find it. This sometimes makes them cannibals. The individual hyena may lack speed and strength, but the clan is highly effective. Even on their own, the persistent threat of their menacing bite can earn them a meal claimed by others. But there is one predator the hyena must approach with caution. Lions are a constant threat. This youngster was lucky to flee unscathed. Contrary to popular belief, hyenas are not only scavengers. In the Mara, they often hunt. While this attempt was thwarted by the angry buffalo herd, spotted hyena hunt their fair share of migration meals.
And from hearing about one of my absolute favorite predators, welcome back to the live vehicle where we are sitting with some other main characters of the Great Migration. In fact, probably I think you could say the principal characters, because of course it is the zebra that lead the way with the wildebeest following along behind. For those of you that have just joined us, my name is Jamie, and this morning I was sitting with a pride of lions known as the Sausage Pride. Unfortunately, the sausages gave me the slip and went into an area where we absolutely could not follow them. So what I've done is I've moved into an area where the wildebeest and the zebra have come across the Mara River, and today we are in search of a Scar, a massive male lion with, as you might have guessed, a big scar across his eye, and probably one of the most famous male lions. I do apologize profusely for the static sound that you may be hearing. I'm sorry if it's a little bit distracting. It is problems with our satellite. I think you can kind of imagine the amount of work and technology that goes into bringing you a live safari from Kenya. We've got so many extraordinary things to show you that I don't think it should matter too much. Look at that zebra rolling in the dust. Joyfully celebrating its safe movement from one side of the Mara River to the other. Now they're all standing on the riverbank trying to work out how they're going to go and have a drink. Hey, look at that. Of course, I think it's safe to say that the wildebeest and the zebra have it the hardest out here. But thank you to Rachel for sending through your question. Rachel, you want to know whether or not the prey animals know that they are prey from birth. Yes, they do. And you'll notice it, and the reason that I say that is because that instinct to run away from a cat or something cat-shaped is there very clearly from the moment that they are born. We have seen a few live births on this Safari Live, various internet shows and on our TV shows, and immediately the little babies get up and they're aware of the predators around them. So yes, I think they know instinctively from birth. Difficult to say exactly what an animal's thinking, but I think it's relatively clear from their behavior. You'd think they'd had enough of the river. But unfortunately, it is starting to get exceptionally dry here in the Maasai Mara, which means they have to return, whether they like it or not, to go and have a drink. It is a story of the many herds this morning. Let's jump onto the other side of the Mara River to rejoin Brent.
Well, here we've got a fragment of a herd. So at about 4 o'clock this morning, the Rongai Pride attempted to hunt wildebeest in this area and split up. Now, for those of you who just joined, my name is Brent Leo Smith, and we were just with some lions, and I heard wildebeest from where we were sitting with the lions. Now, the lions are just over this little rise here. The wind is coming from behind us, hopefully carrying the smell and the sound of those wildebeest straight towards those 19 lions. All 14 of them are cubs, but we do have those 5 adult females there as well. And you never know what's going to happen. Even while we've just come to investigate the sound of these wildebeest, the lions could have been moving up towards here. Now, Nate is wondering, how often do prides bring down wildebeest? At this time of the year, frequently, almost daily, but come the end of the migration, when the wildebeest move back to the Serengeti, almost not at all. There are some resident wildebeest that hang about, but 90% of them, 99% of them probably, in fact, disappear down to the south, to the Serengeti, to give birth on the southern plains. Now I'm just trying to see these wildebeest. Even though they got chased last night, I think they've completely forgotten about the lions that are so close by. And you can see most of them are just grazing, getting a good munch on that lovely red oat grass. Now, I said there was quite a lot of rain to the south of us last night, and we saw a long line of wildebeest in the sunrise a bit earlier this morning, and we can actually just see them disappearing over the crest, heading towards the Sand River and Tanzania. Look at that. Now, that has been a continuous stream since we saw them in the early morning light as the sun popped over the eastern horizon, and so at least 5,000 or 6,000 are heading down to where there was rain last night. Oh, and of course, there are lots of other things out here, not only wildebeest and lions. Can you see the lilac-breasted roller, Vim? There we go, just come out a little bit. There we go. One of the most beautiful birds in Africa. And of course, he's hanging around the edge of the wildebeest because as they walk through the long grass, they disturb all sorts of tasty insects. Now, of course, we've got incredible amounts of lion, cheetah, leopard, and in the Maasai Mara, and we are learning all about them with you. So let's go across to migration control to James, who's going to explain a little bit more about our absolutely fantastic characters.
Before I do that, everyone, let me just apologize once more for the static sound that you're hearing over the satellite. We're not sure what that is. Perhaps it's some sort of alien that is hacked into and it is using the bandwidth. I don't know how these things work. Could be a gremlin sitting there having a green cocktail of some sort. My imagination's getting away from me. So I do apologize for that. We are trying to rectify the situation. As Brent said, lots and lots of characters, and slowly but surely our character wall is filling up. Musketeer cheetahs, we met Malika. I'm sad you didn't meet, or you haven't just yet met, the 2 cheetah sisters. The Burungat Pride plying their trade down here, the Notch boys over there dominating this area, 3 or 4 prides, and now of course we have the Sausage Tree Pride, affectionately known as the Sausages. Yes indeed, there they are, and there are some interesting things about them. First of all, the fact that they are pretty easily identifiable from these ears of theirs. Their right ears are totally mangled to pieces. This one, a very distinctive nick on the right, and this one, a very distinctive sort of, not a nick so much as almost a piece missing out of the top, and also a bit of a mangled left one. So quite easily identifiable. They live very close by to the Angama pride. The Angama pride up here, the sausages just around here. Very small territories in comparison with some areas, and that's got to do with the richness of the prey. And I think that you will find that although we talk about how desperate things must be without the migration here, I think all of these prides make a pretty good living before the migrations here. And I think that when the migration does arrive, what it is a bit like a big banker's bonus. I think they have a great time, but otherwise I think during the year they do very well in the Maasai Mara. Let's head back to Jamie now and find out where she's heading.
I'm heading to see if I can find one of the male lions of this area. I mentioned Scar, but of course he is part of a 4 male strong coalition of male lions. But I've been distracted by the various wildebeest that have come cantering along past me. You find that after the wildebeest have crossed the Mara River, they tend to be exceptionally panicky. I can hardly blame them. It is such an extraordinarily tenuous situation to be in, climbing over the backs of crocodiles at times. And often you'll find that the little youngsters are separated from their mothers, and you get this cacophony of calling. These two have been fortunate. That is, mum and little one. But it doesn't always work that way, and you see them wandering around searching for their mother or offspring. Well, speaking of lions and the lions that I'm searching for, it seems as though James has spotted them on the river.
Look, everyone, a Paradise Pride member, I think, just about where those wildebeest crossed, and I wonder if she isn't thinking about moving to where the crossing is and then picking up one of those wildebeest. Let's just zoom out. Oh, that's a lovely picture. The wildebeest crossed just to the left-hand side of the picture over there. Now let's follow her, because I suspect that she's looking for those herds. Now, if you have just joined us, if you haven't been with us for the last 4 weeks, well, shame on you, but we'll forgive you. And what I need to tell you is that the Paradise Pride very cleverly go up and down the banks here, in amongst the grass, using the contours of the banks, and they specialize in exhausted creatures that have either just finished the crossing or in terrified creatures that have just about jumped into the water. Now, you have a very interesting name, Open Pond. Open Pond, you want to know how lion prides get their names. Most often it's from where they live. So the very famous Marsh Pride, which lives not too far, well, used to live not too far from where the Paradise Pride lives. They got their name from, unsurprisingly, altogether now, marsh. Yes, and the Paradise Pride gets its name from the Paradise Plains, which are just behind where that lioness is sitting. The Angama Pride, of course, takes their name from the Angama Lodge, where we are very privileged to call ourselves at home, and that's perched on the Olololo escarpment here. The Sausage Tree Pride apparently like sausage trees. Now, I don't know about that, but there is obviously a big Sausage Tree Pride in their territory. Burungut Pride, they're very close to the Burungut Bridge, so that's why they've got that name. I'm just going to try and zoom in. The camera does struggle a little bit in light like this, and so if I do lose focus, I apologize. But I think this lady was a little bit late out of bed this morning. Otherwise, she may have had more luck with the wildebeest here. Oh, she's a very distinctive lioness. Can you see she's missing her is she missing her ear? Yes, she is. She's missing her right ear entirely. I don't know that she is part of the Paradise Pride. She might well be part of what we call the Serena North Pride. And everything gets very confused when the migration is in town, so she could be part of the Serena North Pride, extremely distinctive there, no right ear, probably ripped off in a fight with a hyena, or some sort of contretemps with a male lion. Isn't she cool? I love finding lions like this because I find it very difficult to identify them. Individuals
and she's just staring wistfully over the river towards the herd that escaped her claws and teeth. Bad luck, my dear. Better luck next time. I think on a hot day like today's going to be, there's going to be a huge amount of activity over the river all the time. So if you bide your time, which lions generally do, I think there will be another crossing or two somewhere up and down this river. Isn't that a beautiful shot? Let's head back to Brent now and find out how his lions are doing. Oh, he's got something else.
Well, the lions went to sleep and completely ignored the wildebeest behind them, so we've got some topi. Now, topi, unlike a lot of the wildebeest and zebra, are non-migratory. They are resident within the Mara. They do migrate little distances around the Mara after grazing, but they have one of the best nicknames I've ever heard for an animal, and we can see some wildebeest in the background, and that is the policeman. Now, it doesn't quite look like a policeman. Now, they get that nickname because they're in the habit of standing on high ground, any available high ground, that is, when they are not grazing, and they ruminate while staring across the open plains, and they've got exceptional eyesight, so they often alert all the other animals to the presence of predators. Now, as one can imagine, I'm sure a lot of you sitting at home might live on the coast, and you get attacked by holiday goers during the summer months, especially if you're on the beach. Now, imagine that's what the topi and whatnot feel like, and that ties in with what Vera is saying. When will these wildebeest and zebra leave the Maasai Mara to the residents like you Floridians back in the States? It depends, as I said, on the year. It changes every year depending on rain and availability of grass. So, Vera, I think probably sometime in October this year. There's another one of the, well, it could be resident, could be migratory to the left. You see him there, hiding from the wind on top. There's a male Tommy, got no girlfriends, unfortunately for him. Now, some Tommies will migrate with the wildebeest and zebra. Others will be resident here, and you can see he's ruminating. He's been grazing, so now bringing up the cud and chewing away. Now, that, of course, is the cheetah's favorite food, and one of the reasons I left the lions, because they were, the main reason is they were snoozing, and this area is home to a very beautiful female cheetah named Amani. Now, I believe Scott earlier today had Amani's 2 daughters, and at some stage, but they've just become independent, so she might be looking for love, and there are 2 males in this area as well, and we're sticking up to the high ground where we can get a nice view, because you never know what's going to happen next. We are live from Kenya, from the Maasai Mara, from one of the most spectacular places on earth. And I'm feeling lucky. I always feel lucky. I'm an eternal optimist, so who knows what we're going to discover before the end of this fantastic sunrise safari. Now, talking of cheetah, James is going to show you what the cheetah have been up to this last week, and hopefully I'm going to find you one before the end of the show.
When we arrived in the Mara, we didn't expect to find 5 cheetah brothers, and so we only made one effigy, and we've had to kind of improvise with the rest. We have D'Artagnan, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, and we have 7. No, it is actually 5. There he is over there. So those are our 5 cheetah brothers. They've continued to absolutely thrill us this week. Have a look. There they are, continuing to confound convention by hunting in the darkness. Now, this is shot with a very special camera, and so the amount of light available there, really nothing like what you can see. There we have one of the brothers looking side to side, finding the brothers. Their aim is to get in amongst them. Now, it's raining here. There are thundering hooves all over the place. There's chaos. And then one of the brothers singles out a youngster and gets hammered in the bedlam. Finally, one of the adults discovers his liver and some courage, bashes away the one, and then D'Artagnan comes into the fray. Now watch him here. He moves this defender away from his brothers. His brothers going off to the left there, grab a piece of migration meal, and, well, I think that'll keep them fed for a little while. Was that just not too spectacular? I have never seen cheetah behavior like that. I'm not hugely experienced with cheetah, but I think that we're witnessing something quite unique here. So those are the brothers. Now, it's not all about brothers. Sometimes it's about sisters. And we've had two sisters this week. They're much younger than these brothers are. Probably about 16 months or so, and they won't be together forever. They'll only be together probably until sexual maturity, so around about 2.5 years or so, and then they'll split up and go their own way. But at the moment, they're living together, but their hunting skills need quite a lot of work. Have a look here. Here they're going for a Thompson's gazelle, and the gazelle, well, I think, is just looking completely disdainful there, stotting away. That was the first strike. Then, too much choice here. Cheetah hardly gets out of third gear. Looking from the impala to the Thompson's gazelles, doesn't really know what to hunt at all. That was the second strike. And now you might think that because the impala is bigger, it would be a little bit slower, but no. Look how it predicts the cheetah's movements exactly as they run. So a lot more practice needed, and that was the third strike. Third and out? No. Luckily for the cheetah, they managed to catch a little scrub hare, and so it was rabbit stew for them, much rather than venison steaks, unfortunately. Some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cheetah action this week, and hopefully some more next week. Let's head back to Jamie and lions again.
We found some more lions. This is where we were yesterday when I saw Scar, the male lion. That obviously is not a male lion, but a female lion that is missing the tip of her tail. I'm pretty sure this is one of the members of the pride that specializes in hunting the wildebeest as they cross. And what I've noticed these lionesses doing is they wait for the wildebeest that have made it across the river, because a lot of them come through with seriously painful injuries. And as a result, they are able to pick off the weaker members of the herd. She lost the tip of her tail. If I had to guess, I would say probably to a hyena, but you never know out here. Could Scar be lurking somewhere in the shadows here? But while we wait and see whether or not he pops out, we have a question coming through from Julie, who would like to know whether or not there are any lionesses that are not part of the pride. Very, very rarely, every now and again, it happens where a lioness has lost the rest of her pride or perhaps dispersed, but it's very, very uncommon. Lions are social cats. That is what they are instinctively created to be, and they spend as much time as, or they will always be together in a pride. Thank you so much for sending through your question, Julie. Remember, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter to share your thoughts and your questions. Oh, she's lying down so kindly for us. Is there any chance that there's a male here? I'm still casting about to try and see whether or not he is around. I will have to just do some repositioning here because we're very much in the way of some of the tourists that have come to see what's happening over here. They, of course, bring plenty of money into Kenyan conservation. Since our lioness is lying up for now... Oh, there's Scar. Do you find Scar? Is it him? It is. It is him. Oh, that's fantastic. So exciting. There you go. For those of you that are new to the Maasai Mara, this is one of the most famous lions in the world. A brief head pop-up just to show you his face, and of course that world-famous scar, acquired through many years of being a dominant male lion. Let's go back to James, who's got a better view of some lions stalking the riverbanks.
Beautiful stuff here. Ooh, there we go. And she's having a drink. Now, those vehicles in the background, everybody, don't worry, they're tourists. And as Scott was saying, they're very helpful in finding all of these wonderful creatures. And there we've got a lovely view of her not-so-lovely right ear. Sorry, my dear, but it does give you a fairly distinctive look. And I don't think male lions are too fussy. And so you probably haven't suffered too much as a result. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, that's very special indeed. All right, I'm going to move slowly around here and just give you a quick look at where everyone's ended up today. We've got the herds of wildebeest over there. Yeah, there are 1 or 2 around where Brent is, 1 or 2 around where Scott is over there, but the bulk that we've looked at today in and around this area, and in fact moving into the marsh area there. Jamie is sitting over here now, so there's been quite a lot of movement from all of the teams out there in the field today. That's the state of play today. I think that these wildebeest are going to spend more time. I think there are going to be bigger numbers coming up during the course of the week. There should be a lot more crossings, so keep watching us on Facebook, and we'll go live whenever there's action. If you have enjoyed the show today, well, you can follow us every single day, #SafariLive. You can just Google us, you'll find the feed that works best for you. We take 2 daily safaris, and we're out on Facebook every day. Otherwise, we will see you 11 p.m. Nat Geo Wild. That's 11 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States next week. Until then, I bid you a fond farewell, but I'll hand you back into the field with the lions.
Well, that's exactly where Scar was, right in the distance. We're sitting on the crest. Unfortunately, Amani, the female cheetah, is nowhere to be seen. But lions, cheetah, leopards, hyenas everywhere. That is the joy of the Maasai Mara. And we're with another herd, this time a zebra herd, who's also heading south in the same direction where those wildebeest were heading, towards where there was rain. And it astounds me every day that we're out here, how you never know what's going to happen, and you learn something new every single day. So we're going to say toodles to the zebra, and don't forget, this is going to happen again next week, but we got a really special surprise to end the show. Let's go find out what it is.
I cannot believe how perfectly this worked out. I was just berating myself a few moments ago for taking the risk and racing all the way from where we were to where we are now, but it has paid off in the best possible way, in the form of, for most of you, an introduction to a truly extraordinary male lion. Our male lions, I've noticed here in the Maasai Mara, are all utterly beguiling, but there is none so charismatic, I think, as Scar and his instantly recognizable facade. There's the lionesses, his pride gathered together. There's 3 of them in this particular group, and he could not look more content if he tried. Now, there's going to be a vehicle passing through, and unfortunately it is nearly time for us to say farewell to all of you. We're halfway through already our migration special, which has been an absolute pleasure to share with all of you. There is so much more for you to see. You've seen the wildebeest coming across the river. We've introduced you to some of the most extraordinary predators of the Maasai Mara, and now it's only up from here. He's just magnificent. Look at that fantastic floppy nose. One last view, he's sitting up. He's standing up looking at the lioness intently. She's snarling at him, not interested at all. What a perfect way to finish off your live safari. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us. Remember, you, of course, are the people that make it as special as it is. We will see you all same time next week, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. From myself and the rest of the Safari Live crew and Scar himself. Bye-bye.